I want to begin this morning with a question. How many of you have ever made a promise?
I made one.
One. How many of you fulfilled that promise? And when you fulfilled that promise, was the other person that you made the promise to glad or not so glad?
Yep, sometimes she's glad, sometimes she's not.
How many people here? Johnny, you're overthinking it. You did that. How many of you have ever been the recipient of a promise? And when it was fulfilled, were you glad or not so glad? Yeah. How many have been the recipient of a promise that was not fulfilled? Did it hurt a little bit? I remember a story. This is a true story. There was a young lady, and she went to Walgreens over here to get her some pictures developed, and because she had 7 brothers, and she was gonna make big pictures of each one and put them in frames and wrap them up for Christmas presents. And so she took her film over there, and they, oh, no problem, we'll get it back to you. So she went a week later and said, well, are my pictures ready? And she said no, and she said, I need them. It's Christmas Eve. What am I going to give? And he said, well, ma'am, just what's your name again? And she said, Snow White. And the Walgreens guy said, well, don't worry, don't cry, because someday your prince will come. All right. That's a true story, by the way. Oh. Hallmark is killing me. My wife won't turn off Hallmark. It's vitally important. I think one of the worst things a mother or father can do, a parent can do, is to make a promise, especially to a child, and then not fulfill it. Or a grandchild. Oh yeah, I'll be there, and then not show up. They are probably the hardest hurts that children know. And and it festers, and soon they don't believe anything anymore. They lose hope. For 1,000 years, Israel waited for Messiah because God promised it would happen. It will happen. And then suddenly the day came where it did happen. And for 2019 years since, we've been rejoicing and praising God for Jesus Christ. And I wonder if any of us really ever considered why they named him Emmanuel. God is with us, not some far-off entity or someday kind of guy, but right here, moving amongst us right now, throughout the pew, his Holy Spirit, with all the power that God said and had when he said, let there be light, and the heavens ignited. That same Spirit is right here, right now. Keeping the promises he made to Brandy, keeping the promise he made to David, keeping the promises he made to each one of us. For wherever 2 or more are gathered in my name, there I am. And if you come unto my Emmanuel, you shall be filled with peace and joy, and you shall be saved. Anyone. This morning, we're going to sing one final song here, and we're going to ask God's blessing as we study this, about keeping promises, about fulfilling that which we've said we would fulfill. Let's turn to